sitting either on a chair, or if you like to sit on the floor and you feel that that is supportive position, you can sit on the floor. Sitting on a chair, it's really good if you can have your feet in parallel and your knees directly above your feet, and the tops of your legs coming straight into the tops of your leg sockets. And we're just going to use our fingers a little bit to practice our breathing. So we're going to use this position of all the fingers touching and all the fingers open with our breath. So as we're breathing in, our fingers perhaps will open. As we're breathing out, our fingers will close back up. If you happen to be doing it the other way around, it really doesn't matter. The idea is just to go with the breath and the movement. So you can let your hands rest comfortably on your lap. You might like to let your eyes close, or you can just lower your gaze down towards the front of your mat. We're just going to have a brief sit and a brief pause to help us arrive. Maybe we've had hassles with technology, or we've just got back from work, or we might be feeling a bit jittery just because of the current situation. So just taking a moment to pause and maybe let your attention drop all the way down to your feet first of all. Don't worry about your hands and the breathing, we'll come to that. Just let your attention drop all the way down to the feet. And just have a moment of exploring any sensations you can notice in your feet. Contact with socks or with air. Feel of the mat, texture of the mat underneath your feet. Whether the feet feel warm or cool. Whether there's kind of heaviness or lightness in your feet. And whether there's any kind of movement or stillness. Maybe there's a kind of buzzing or a tingling, pins and needly sensation. Or maybe just kind of blankness, not much sensation. Just noticing whatever's there, no right or wrong. And then you might like to take a slightly deeper, longer breath in, almost as if the breath is flowing all the way down to your feet as you breathe in. And then a nice, long, slow breath out, perhaps traveling back up from the feet as you breathe out. And if that feels okay to do, maybe just doing that a couple more times. Breath flowing in, nourishing all the cells in the body. Breath flowing back out, releasing, cleansing all the cells in the body. And then is it possible to just let the awareness travel up the legs from the feet, as if you're traveling up the inside of your legs, corridor of your legs, around the bend in your knees, and coming to the place where your legs and buttocks meet the chair that you're sitting on. We'll just have a moment of exploring that contact. The texture and temperature. The weight and the sensations. And just maybe notice the breath coming and going with our attention here in the upper legs, the buttocks. And then bringing your attention to the hands and just noticing the kind of shape of your fingers. Maybe curled, maybe out straight, just this kind of natural position of the hands. Just gently bringing the fingers towards each other to touch, very lightly, connecting the fingers up as best you can, almost like a closed bud of a flower. And then just in your own time, the next time that you notice a breath coming in or out, whichever way feels right for you, letting the fingers start to open with the flow of that breath. And then as the breath turns and changes and flows the other way, letting the fingers come back together. And really seeing if the fingers can mirror the flow, the pace, the depth of your breath. Not trying to change the breath in any way, but just seeing if the fingers and the breath can really connect, flow together, as if the breath is moving your fingers somehow. And the mind might want to get busy, get lost, or get distracted, so that's quite normal. Unfortunately, that's part of being a human being. So if we notice that happened, then we just gently bring our attention back to the next in-breath or out-breath that we notice. Pick up that movement of the fingers and just connect in again with the flow and the pace, the rhythm of the breath. And then slowly let the fingers just come to stillness again. Breath's still flowing, but we can just let the fingers be still. And this time opening up the awareness to the whole body sitting here. Feet on the floor, buttocks on the chair, hands resting. And checking in. How am I doing in this moment? What is it that I notice in my body, physically, physical feel of my muscles and bones and joints, skin and tissue. We can also check in with how the body feels in terms of the emotions that might be here. Perhaps worry, frustration, contentment, or some other emotion. And with those emotions, we might notice thoughts passing through the mind. So opening up to that, the texture and quality of those thoughts, speed and the volume of those thoughts. And just have a couple of deep, slow breaths as if you're filling up this whole body space. And checking in, what does this body, this whole body, body, mind, heart need right now? What might be helpful and supportive for how I'm feeling right now? A little space for that. And then when you're ready, just gently opening the eyes or raising the gaze. Just going to check in and see how we are. So we'll just do a couple more things in the chair and then we'll come to standing. So if you can sit with your hands on your knees and just have a moment of rounding. I'm just going to turn sideways so that you can see a little bit sideways. Rounding the spine and letting the head hang down, shoulders a little bit hunched. And then next time that you notice a breath, can you then open up? The arms can come back So as we breathe in, a bit like we've just done with our hands, opening the arms as you breathe in, and then coming back to that kind of more rounded position as you breathe out. We'll just do a few of those, breathing in. Just go with your breath and out. Just let everything be really soft and kind of a bit floppy on the out breath. And then next time that you come to that opened up position, just pause there. And we'll just stay in that position. Take another breath in with your arms up. And then as you breathe out, can you tip so that the backs of the hands face backwards, elbows staying up. So we're breathing in, arms and forearms face forwards. Breathing out, tipping back. That's it. And let's do one more of those. Right. And then if you can bring your fingers, just the tips to touch your shoulders, can we draw some circles with our elbows? So they come towards each other and away. And again, that can connect with your breath, a breath in and a breath out. And then exactly the same thing, but the other way around. So just reversing that circle of elbows. Great. And then let the arms come down. You can just give the whole arms, including the shoulders, a little kind of shrug. And then if you interlock your fingers behind your right knee and just lift the knee up towards the body and give your knee a little bit of a hug. You can have a little bit of a rock. And then is it possible to place the foot on the opposite thigh? So the knee is going out towards the side. And then with your right hand, you can just just below the knee, you can just give the leg just a little bit of encouragement to open. You can kind of walk the hand up the thigh, from the knee up towards the groin, just up and down. And then we're going to leave the knee in that position, the foot in that position. We're going to take a nice breath in and come forwards and up, and then out and down and round with the arms. And again, coming forwards and up, out and down and round. And once more. And then with your left hand, can you interlock a finger between each toe? So just take a moment to see how that is, to get one finger in between each toe, and the hand is then just holding onto the ball of the foot. And then we're going to rotate the foot around in its ankle socket. So the hand isn't pulling the foot, the hand is just going along as a passenger, circling around in one direction. And then in the other. And then we can have a nodding foot. So you can draw the foot up towards the shin, perhaps as you breathe in, and then point the foot away. Again, let the foot move, the hand just follow. And then next time that your foot is flexed up, can you bring the fingers out through the tops of the toes? And then again, come back underneath your knee and just give the leg a little gentle shake. and let that foot come down to the ground. Just have a moment, maybe just feel how that is, one leg having had a little bit of movement and the other one that hasn't. And then if you interlock the fingers and come underneath the left leg, just draw it up, give it a little bit of a hug and a little bit of a rock. And then we're going to let the foot come onto the opposite thigh and just feel how it is on this side. For me, it's stiffer. So again, just have a little bit of a, almost a bit of a massage along the left thigh from the knee down towards the groin and back up. And then let's leave that in that position as open as it can be and take a nice breath in, come forwards and up, and then out and down and round. And once more. And last one. And then if you bring your right hand to interlock between the toes, let the hand just rest into the ball of the foot. And again, see what it's like to draw a nice circle with the foot. Might hear and feel some kind of clunks. That's okay. And then around in the opposite direction. And then this nodding movement of drawing the foot up towards the shin, perhaps as you breathe in and pointing away as the breath goes out. And then the next time that you've got that foot drawn up, you can bring the fingers out through the tops of the toes, come back under the knee again and just give that leg a little wriggle and let it come down to join the other one. I'm just going to turn my chair for a moment and just angle this so that you can see my feet. So we're going to come off the chair, but in a coming through a position. So if you can just shuffle a little bit towards the front of your chair with your feet in parallel, heels underneath the knees. So you've got these sort of tramline legs, and then we're going to use our arms. So we're coming forwards and up with our arms to come just off the chair. And you can maybe just pause there, almost a little bit like squatting over a not a very nice toilet seat. And then coming down through your feet to bring you up to standing. And we'll just do that once more. So you might want to come back a little bit towards the chair, because we can do the same thing to go back down. We bring our arms forwards, the buttocks go back, and we lower ourselves down to sit on the chair. Great. And then once more, coming forwards, nice long back, nice long arms, down through the feet. Have a little pause there. Utkatasana, chair pose. And then down through the feet to bring yourself up. Great. So then if we can use the back of the chair, if you can put the back of your chair just on your edge of your mat so it doesn't slip. And if you haven't done this before, you might want to just watch first of all. Just have a little look at the screen and watch it, and then we'll all have a go together. So I'm starting with the heels of my hands on the chair, coming up onto the balls of my feet, I'm walking back so that my feet are underneath my hips, again with this same tram line of legs. And it's a little bit like we're doing a standing cat pose. So I'm arching the spine up, the head is hanging down, belly is drawn in and up. And I do that with an in-breath. And then as I breathe out, the heels go down, the buttocks go back, the knees are soft, and I come into a nice long back position. And then I can move in and out of that. So next time the breath comes in, I can arch up, head hangs down, and then I can lengthen on the out breath. And to come out, it's simply just walking ourselves forwards and up. So let's have a go at that together. If you bring the heels of your hands, the pads, onto the back of the chair, nice alive fingers. Come up onto the balls of your feet and walk yourself back so that your feet are, if you look at your legs and feet, are they coming straight down from your hip socket? Want to get into that position, and then if you can breathe in and arch, draw the belly up, arch the whole spine up. And then as you breathe out, heels go down, knees bend a little bit forward so the buttocks can really release back. And then the shoulder blades are coming back and the crown of the head is going forwards. And then just keep moving in and out of that position with your breath. Just going to have a little look. Okay, so the next time you're in that flat back position, just have a little pause there. You might like to breathe into the lower back. Take a deep breath and breathe down as low as you can into the lower back. You might like to breathe into the middle of the back on your next breath. And you might like to breathe into the kind of shoulder blades on your third breath. And then keeping the feet where they are, just have a little bit of it's a kind of wiggle. So one knee comes forwards and the other knee opens out at the back. And then you swap. So it's actually the action of walking, but your feet stay stuck to the ground, your heels stay stuck to the ground, and just the knees move. One comes forwards, one comes back. And then once you've done a little bit of that from side to side, again, just have a moment of pausing, both buttocks going backwards. Just come back to that flat back position. Have a few breaths into the whole of the back of the body. So the middle, the lower point and the upper point. Just really big, deep breaths into the back body. And then to come out, if you walk yourself forwards and up, back up to standing. Great. And then we're going to do that once more, coming back on the balls of the feet into that parallel position. But this time, if you step the left foot forward and the right foot back, so a kind of walking pace, but one foot in front of the other, left foot in front, right foot behind. And again, just start with that position with the heels raised and the arch of the back, your breath in. And then as you breathe out, let the heels go down, let the buttocks go back. You might need to just let your chair come forwards a bit so that you can find that long back position here with one leg forward, one leg back. And then we've got the left leg forward, so we're going to leave the left hand on the chair, but we're going to breathe in and bring the right arm up into the air. So a little bit of a turn to the right side. And if you want to, that might feel like that's enough, but if you want to, you could then let the left arm drop down. We come to a triangle pose. And again, just breathe into the front of the body, breathe into the back of the body. And then let your left hand, if it was dropped down, let it come back to the chair. Right hand can come back to the chair. And again, just have a little arch up. You can keep the feet on the floor, but arch the spine up. And then have a nice long stretch through the spine. With the left foot forward, right foot back. And then if you step your right foot forward to join the left one and take the left one back to where the right one was. Again, we're going to come up onto the balls of the feet. Take a nice breath in with the spine arched up. And then again, see if you can find, as the breath goes out, the heels go down, buttocks go back. Find that long back position. Breathing into the whole of the back body. This time, keep the right hand on the chair and turn and let the left arm come straight up in the air from the arm socket. We're turning a little bit to the left. And it might feel nice to keep the hand on the chair, or you might want to just drop that arm down. So you're getting that length from the top hand all the way down across the body to the bottom hand. Breathing into the chest, breathing into the shoulder blades. And then let that right hand come back onto the chair again, and then the left. And just have a little arch up of your spine. And a release. Nice long body. Breath into the whole of the back body, the bottom, the middle, and the top. And then step the back foot forward. And bring the body gently, can uncurl back up to standing. And if we just come a little bit away from the chair, we'll do a roll down through the body. So let the chin come to the chest and then gently roll down towards the floor, vertebra by vertebra. It's the weight of the head taking the body down as far as it will go. If you're not touching the floor, then you could hold the opposite elbow. And just let the weight of the top half of the body hang down. You could give your head and neck a little shake. Your arms could have a little shake. The backs of the legs could have a little jiggle. And then to come up, it's really good if you can bend your knees forward a little bit to take pressure off the lower back, and then take a nice breath in and start to uncurl, going down through the feet, up through the spine, unfurling the body back up to standing. Actually, I'm going to stay this way. So then let's come down to kneeling. If you can, you could just put a little fold in the middle of your mat so that your knees can rest on a bit of folded mat, just to give a bit of extra comfort to the knees, extra padding. And if you can bring your hands just to support your body, let the lower legs come off the floor and give your feet just a little twirl around in the ankle sockets in each direction. And then you're wanting to lengthen your lower legs. So there's a sort of pointing of the toes so that you've got nice long lower legs and you can bring the whole foot into contact with the floor, right across to the little toe. And if you look, you can see that there's a space underneath the front of the ankle, so my hand can fit in here. It's not just splatted, but the toes are connecting and the foot is kind of really alive to create this space. And then we just want to do a little bit of preparation of our hand. So if you let the right hand, the back of the right hand, come into contact with the ground, and just feel that kind of opening up through the front of the shoulder blade. See if you can keep a sense of that as you then turn the hand over and then let the back of the left hand come into contact with the ground. Feel that in your shoulder blade. You want to keep a sense of that as you bring your hand, left hand to the ground, palm of the hand to the ground. And then we're going to do the same movement that we've just been doing when we were standing using the chair. So down through the feet, down through the hands to curl the spine up, head hanging down, perhaps as you breathe in. And then as you breathe out, the tailbone starts to uncurl, the spine uncurls, the head comes in line with the spine to create that tabletop position. So again, just in your own time, moving from this arch position through the spine to a flat back position. And seeing if your pelvis, your tail, can move first, head move last in each position. Tailbone starts to move, then the spine, then the shoulders, then the head. Again, I'm just going to see what I can see. So the next time that you're in that flat back position, just pause there, really feel the shoulder blades coming back. Can you then slide out the right leg, tuck the toes under of the right foot, and just find that length all the way from your right foot to your right hip, to your right shoulder, to your right ear, just that kind of length along the right hand side of your body. And then let that knee come in to join the other one. Might like to just curl the spine up again with an in-breath and then uncurl again. Find that flat back, shoulders drawing back. And then slide the left foot out. Tuck the toes of the left foot all the way across to the little toe. And then what length can you find on your left-hand side? From the foot, through the knee, to the hip, to the shoulder blade, to the ear. Long left-hand side of your body. And then let that knee come back in to join the other one. We're going to bring our toes towards each other and our knees out towards the edges of the mat. And then maybe we can sit back on our heels and we can either rest our head forwards onto the chair, or we might be able to bring our head down onto our hands on the ground, one hand on top of the other, or you might take your head all the way down to the floor. So any of those three positions, resting on the seat of the chair, resting on one hand on top of each other, or resting down to the ground. Child's pose. So really allowing the forehead to rest in whichever position you've chosen. The forehead can rest. And you can maybe bring your awareness again to the back of the body and breathe into those three places that we mentioned earlier, the lower back, Have a nice deep breath down to the base of the spine, the tail, sacrum. And then another deep breath into the middle of the back, where the ribs join. And breathing into the upper back, space between the shoulder blades. And then if you bring your hands to rest on your sacrum, so the backs of the hands come to rest on the lower back, elbows out to the side. Then you take a nice breath in and tip yourself back up to kneeling. So we haven't pushed with our hands, used our legs and our torso to bring us back up to kneeling. And then we're going to come to lying. So bringing yourself to lying with the knees bent up and the feet flat on the floor. Just going to move my... And you might like to start with the arms out level with the shoulders. Palms facing up towards the ceiling. And just very gently letting the knees move slowly from side to side. A bit like blades of grass wafting in the wind. So just start with a small movement of moving a little bit from one side to the other. Edges of your feet come into contact with the ground as the knees go over. And then the soles of the feet as you bring the knees back up. So just really gently, curiously exploring that whole movement of feet, knees, until you might find that the knees kind of have gone over to one side as far as they'll go. You've kind of dropped over to one side. And can you just let your head turn away from your knees? So knees over to one side, head just drops the other way. And then you can just take a couple of breaths into the top lung, that kind of diagonal shape across your body from your armpit to your knees and your feet. There's 2 or 3 deep breaths into that side of your body. And then to bring the knees across to the other side, if you start with your top knee, let the bottom knee stay where it is, but bring the top knee over, a bit like a windscreen wiper, and at some point the bottom knee will just come along. And then both knees heading over to the other side, and your head just dropping away again in the opposite direction to the knees. Feeling this new diagonal shape, this other lung on top, breathing into that space. Seeing what the in-breath brings and what the out-breath brings. Really important to work at your own pace, not to push beyond your own limits, but curiously explore those limits. And then again, let the top knee come up to bring the knees this time back up to center. And we're just going to bring the knees up over the chest, and you can give your knee a little hug with each hand on each shin, and just gently have a little rock from side to side. So just massaging across the lower back area, the top of the buttocks, just having a nice massage as the knees, like a baby, rocking from side to side. And then we can go the other way, so we can draw the knees in towards our chest or our belly with our hands, and then we can release the knees away. And just go with your breath, whichever way your breath is moving, breathing in and breathing out with this movement. So massaging up and down the spine from the tailbone to the lower back, kind of curve in the back, the lumbar. And then let's let go of the knees and bring the arms out level with the shoulders. And we can just have a little circle around of the knees. So let the knees go over to one side, then a bit away from the body, across to the other side, in towards the body. And just a very gentle circle around, again, not going beyond what feels okay. And then around in the other direction. And then just pause with the knees over the belly or the chest. Take a nice breath in there. And as you breathe out, let the left foot go down to the floor, the toes and then the heel. As the left heel touches the floor, can you grow the right foot up towards the ceiling? So left foot goes down, right foot goes up. And you can just give the foot a little rotate around in its socket, one direction and the other. And then just that whole leg, a bit of a circle around, as if you're drawing a circle with your heel of your right foot. It can be a big circle or it can be a small circle. The knee can be a bit bent or it can be completely straight. Just exploring the hip socket around in one direction and then around in the other. You can also do this with the knee completely bent and just circle around a thigh bone. So it doesn't matter if it feels too much to have the leg out long, you can bend the knee and just circle with the thigh bone. And then give that whole leg a little shake. Let it come down to join the other one briefly. Just feel that for a moment, one side of your body and the other. And then let's do the same on the other side. So again, bringing both knees over the front of the body. Taking a breath in here. As you breathe out, the right foot goes down to the floor, toes and then heel. And then the left leg grows up towards the ceiling. And you can give the foot a little move around, first of all, in its ankle socket. Drawing little circles with your toes one way and the other. And then into the heel, if you've got the whole leg moving, or into the knee if you're bending your knee. And just circling around curiously, gently, exploring this joint really. Again, you can do it with the knee bent if that feels easier, less pulley. Just play with what feels good for your body. And then give that whole leg a shake. And then we're just going to finish with all four limbs. So if again you bring the knees up over the front of the body, take a nice breath in. As you breathe out, can you send both feet up towards the ceiling and both arms, but keep the shoulder blades down. So you're like a dead bug. Really rooting into the whole of the back body. And then give all four limbs a really jelly shake. And then we're going to lie out for relaxation. So you can use the chair again to have underneath your lower legs. like an astronaut. Arms wherever feels comfortable. That's really good if you've had any niggly pains with the back. Letting the feet rest on the seat of a chair is really helpful. Otherwise, you can have the knees bent up and feet flat on the floor. That's also really helpful for the lower back. Or you can lie the legs out long. And with the arms, they can either be level with the shoulders or resting on the belly, or more in a diagonal position next to the body. But if they're lying next to you, then good to have the palms facing up towards the ceiling. And you might want to have a little blanket or a cushion under your head, a blanket over the body or socks. Just making sure the body's nice and warm and supported. Let the back of the body really rest onto the ground. And each time you breathe out, the back of the body can just rest a little bit more onto the ground. A little bit like a blob of butter that's melting in a pan. As it melts, it spreads out in all directions. So the place where your body is resting, the different places of contact, can they be a little bit like melted butter in a pan? Each time you breathe out, it's like they're spreading, that contact place is just spreading out a little bit more in all directions, giving the weight of the body to the ground, the earth below. And maybe the in-breath brings something else, a different quality, a kind of life, energy, length. So honouring that quality of the in-breath and this kind of releasing quality of the out-breath. And if you've got your hands facing up towards the ceiling, you might like to bring in that same movement that we had when we were sitting, of fingers opening gently and closing up with the flow of your breath. So if that's helpful, you can just let the fingers kind of gently connect in with the breath in this position. If not, don't worry, don't need to do that. Letting your breath be another anchor, another place where your attention can lightly rest. So the attention resting on the feel of the body lying here and resting on the flow of the breath coming and going. And each time our attention might get taken somewhere else, caught up with a worry or a thought or a plan, just gently coming back to this feel of the body lying here and this rhythm of the breath flowing through. I'm just going to finish with a poem. So just allowing these words to arrive into your experience, noticing what happens as you hear them. A poem called Witness by Dana Forbes. When I can be the witness, all manner of miracles occur. Old wounds heal. The past reveals itself to be released. Present dramas play themselves out without sinking emotional talons into my soft skin. The witness welcomes truth and dares to meet reality on its own terms. It is the ground in which the seeds of transformation take root and finally flower. When the witness is awake, the lake of mind is still, and in that mirrored surface, I see my own true face as spirit smiling back at me. So just a moment now for the witness to be awake, and the lake of the mind to be still, and mirror back your own true spirit. Maybe just let a gentle smile come to the lips. And let that gentle smile be felt throughout the whole body. As we hear the sound of the bowl to bring this evening session to a close. So just staying in this position and listening to the sound until it dissolves away into silence. As the sound dissolves away, you might like to wriggle your fingers and toes. If the body wants a stretch, then doing that, stretching or moving the body in whichever way it feels like it needs. And then always good to roll over onto one side, bend the knees up and roll to one side. Come up from that side position.